Any topic, the maximum usage is 15 marks, 3 pages. That's it. That's the maximum usage of any topic that you are reading. There will be one question in general studies paper at maximum, which would be a 15 marker. So you need to be knowing this thing कि maximum usage इसकी क्या होगी इस topic की. Okay, 15 marker, 3 pages. So while you are reading, don't read randomly. Keep the syllabus in mind. Know where does this fit in. Okay, in which subject, how can I use it, how can the question be framed, and if the question is framed this way, what would be my answer. That's how you should be reading also. That's why I call this approach. Okay, this has been called approach because this is not only about answer writing, it's about the approach of the exam. While you are reading, what should be the what should be your approach? When you are framing your notes, what should be the approach? And when you are writing answers, what should be your approach? Okay, it's about an approach to the examination. Interlinkages can be with the syllabus, interlinkages can be with the current affairs, as I have illustrated in the question also, and interlinkages can be with personal events. Personal events, but no first person names, no, not revealing your information, the personal information, but the event, the crux of the event becomes important in the ethics paper. Whenever you are writing anything on honesty, you are writing anything on empathy, on compassion, on integrity, okay, on emotional intelligence, you are writing anything. But when then you are narrating an event that has happened to you, see, this will not happen in the paper. You are writing something on empathy, and you want to narrate an instant, and you think of your life and you reflect in your life. Has there been an event where you have been empathetic or you have been sympathetic to someone, you have shown compassion? Whenever you are reading ethics, whatever thing you are reading, you reflect within yourself that all these years that you have spent, have you shown this quality somewhere? Okay, if not, then how I can be more empathetic? How I can be more compassionate? How it can be developed? Can it be developed in the first place or not? If it can be developed, how does it manifest? How have different leaders done it? How have bureaucrats done it? How have civil servants done it? And if there are any examples from your life which you can remember, jot them down and reproduce them in the real examination also. It makes an impact. The suicide rates among men are more than the suicide rates among women. Okay. That is the second way of looking at it. Okay. So there is some basic flaw in the societal structure or in the economy that is pushing people. If you remember in COVID times, we had huge number of suicides in Kashmir also. Right? Has it something to do with that? Or something, economy is not going fine? So all that you need to bring out, okay? But I was talking about data. That data can be used both ways. But here in this question, what we can do, we can introduce with this thing also, showing the enormous magnitude of the problem. Or there is other data also associated with the same thing, that the number of suicides that has been happening per 1 lakh population, that is also increased from 2011 till 2021. Okay, that was also released in the same report of NCRB. All this started with an apt introduction, that we need to have an apt introduction to the question. An introduction can be defining the keyword in the question, the keyword. For example, there was a question in JKPSC Mains 2022. There was a question about net neutrality. What is net neutrality? So for example, in this class of maybe 80 students or so, this was, I think, How many of you were aware of this term, net neutrality? Okay. So, whenever there is some key term which has been asked in the question, because it was asked there only, okay, what do you understand by net neutrality or something like that. At times there are terms which are very commonplace. For example, net zero and other things. They have become very commonplace and everyone knows what it is. It's used in the common parlance. But at times there are some phrases or some keywords which demand an introduction, which demand an elaboration of what it means in the first place. For such questions, our introduction can be a definition-based introduction. We can start by defining something, the key word in the question. Okay. For example, there is a question in international relations about something. Maybe, for example, anything you say, any example in international relations. Okay. India, Sri Lanka. Okay. India, Sri Lanka. Okay, for I to you two. Anything India, Sri Lanka relations, bilateral relations between two countries. Okay. So, bilateral relations between two countries, if there is any key doctrine, any key term which defines the relation between the two countries, you need to start by introducing that only. The whole idea of saying all this is that the introduction has to be an apt introduction to the question. It can be a definition based question, while you will define some keyword within the question, or you can start with data if you have any data. So what does this tell me? That if there can be a data-based introduction, this tells me that we need to collect data about different things. Okay, we are very well aware that a question on women would be asked, a question on cybersecurity would be asked, a question on left-wing extremism would be asked, a question on education, a question on health. These are repeated themes in the paper. So we need to collect data with ourselves and make a note of it, revise it, repeatedly use it in the mock papers, mock tests, and then represent and reproduce it in the real examination. Okay. Once you have practiced it enough, you would be able to use your data in the questions also. For example, there was a question in GS paper 1 this year that how urbanization is does this is the question. Okay, GS paper 1 UPSC 2023 question number 18 says, does urbanization lead to more segregation and or marginalization of the poor in Indian metropolises? This is the question. So in this question, if you have the data of slum dwellers, what is the population of slum dwellers within India? Okay, in the cities. Okay, you can start by introducing with that data on okay, how urbanization is leading to segregation and marginalization of poor. So this becomes important. Key data we would be collecting through newspapers, through monthly magazines, through कोई भी जहाँ से editorial से भी also. There's an explained page. Then there are other pages. There's a Hindu data specifically. There's a page there about data. So you can collect that, and you don't collect too much. Just collect some data for different topics, different themes. Keep it with yourself. Revise it. And when in the real examination you get a chance to use it, kindly use it. And if you use it in the introduction, good enough. So next thing is the body of the answer, which is the main, like the main thing. So how the body should look like? Body should be multidimensional body, multidimensional. That is, if there's a question on, for example, Delhi pollution, question on Delhi pollution. So the answer should not be only environment based answer. There should be elements of history in it. Okay, how historically Delhi has been the capital of so many empires, and it has been the place which has seen the largest footfall in India. So naturally, it makes it vulnerable for pollution. So there has to be an element of history, but I don't say you begin with it, but just a tinge of history also would do good. So history, then you would come to geographical, uh, concepts of what's that called, the inversion of temperature that happens in winters, and how it makes the smog stable. Okay, this happens in northern hemisphere only. So then, of course, you will come with causes of stubble burning and pollution and other things. So that would make the body look more multidimensional. Okay, you're not only aware of the problem, but you're aware of the history also, the geography also, the technology also. If there are any new elements which have been brought in, like smog towers, and then the sprinkling of the water, how does it have mist and all? Okay, so that makes you multidimensional, your body of the answer multidimensional, and it fetches you more marks. Okay. Overall, it's about how well you are able to interlink. See, in the end, what are you becoming? You are becoming a civil servant. Okay. And you are facing real life problems. And you have to come up with practical solutions to those real life problems. And then you don't have to be like an expert in one particular field, but you need to be aware of the many things which are going behind in creating some problem, and what can be the multi-pronged approach in dealing with that problem. That should be the approach you should be seeing in your answer and in your personality also. So multidimensional body and of course interlinkages. This is what I was emphasizing on. That whenever you are writing, this is all about answer writing. Mind you, don't get carried away.